By default, a Flex container will fit all Flex items together. You can see here that all these colored boxes are in one row here. But if you use the Flex Wrap property, it tells CSS to wrap items. So it just means the extra items move to a new row or column. So I'm going to show you how to solve this challenge here by adding Flex Wrap, and I'm going to set this to wrap. Another setting you can use is wrap reverse. You can see now it wraps to the next line. The flex shrink property applies to flex items instead of a flex container. It allows an item to shrink if the flex container is too small. So I'm going to apply the flex shrink property to both of these items here, box 1 and box 2, like this. This will solve the challenge here. It's going to set, you always have to set a number. So I'm going to set this one to 1, and then I'll set the next one to 2. So these numbers shrink in relation to each other. So if the second one is 2, that means that this box 2 will be 2 times as small as box 1 that has a shrink value of 1. So let's refresh and see what happens. You can see that the red box is 2 times as small as the blue box. The flex grow property is basically the opposite of the flex shrink property. The flex shrink property controls the size of the items when the container shrinks, but the flex grow property controls the size of the items when the parent container expands. Right now, the website doesn't know how to render this HTML here and the CSS because we need to add a flex grow property. So let's do this to box 1 and box 2. So we'll do flex grow, and then I'll put a 1. Just like flex shrink, you're going to put a number, and now instead of this being 2 times smaller, I'm going to put 2 again for box 2. Instead of it being 2 times smaller, it's going to be 2 times bigger. So I'm going to set this to 2, and now this should know how to render if I refresh, and you can see box 2 is 2 times larger because we did flex grow. The flex basis property specifies the initial size of the item before CSS makes adjustments with flex shrink or flex grow. So we're going to see how that works here. We're going to set a specific size with pixels, ems, or percentages, or auto. So let's add that to box 1 and box 2. I'm going to put flex basis, and you can see you can't even see box 1 or box 2 until we add this. So the first one's going to be 10 EM, and then I'll do flex basis, and this one will do 20 EMs. And then if I refresh, we should see it on here. Okay, so now it works. The flex property is a shortcut to set the flex grow, flex shrink, and flex basis properties all at once. Let me show you an example with the default property settings. So the default property settings of flex are 0, 1, auto. So the first number is the flex grow number, the second number is the flex shrink number, and then we have the flex basis here. So for this challenge, we're going to go off of the default, and I am going to set the first flex grow to 2, and then I'll set the flex shrink to 2, and I'll set the flex basis to 150 pixels. Now I'll do something similar for box 2. I'm going to also set the flex property. So it's going to be 1, 1, and then 150 pixels. So let me show that in the browser and see what that's like. Now we can change the size, and you can see when it's small, the red box is bigger, but when the browser gets bigger, the blue box is bigger. So because of how we set the properties, uh, at the at the 300 pixels lines, it's going to change which one's getting bigger and which one's getting smaller.